We've never seen a Windows Phone quite like this before. The Nokia Lumia 1520 is the first smartphone that takes advantage of the most recent update to Microsoft's mobile platform, which added support for large screens, HD resolution, and up-to-date processors. The 1520 in particular features a 6-inch 1080p display and Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 chipset, which means from a hardware standpoint it's as top of the line as it gets right now. This is a great step forward for Windows Phone, which has often been criticized for being behind on the times. The 1520 finally proves that Windows Phone can play with the big boys. In addition to the screen and 2.2 GHz quad-core processor, it also comes with a 20 megapixel rear camera, 2 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of internal storage, and a 3400 mAh battery. Aside from the camera, we're getting upgrades to pretty much everything across the board. Of course, it's also getting an upgrade in size, and that means it's not going to be for everyone. It's about as comfortable as you can get for a large device, but it's still taller, wider, and thicker than the Galaxy Note 3. And even though it has sleek curves and a unibody polycarbonate build like most Lumias, we found it a little difficult to use one-handed. That said, it may be a little easier to handle than Android devices that are this size, primarily because the live tiles are much bigger and easier to tap. The typing experience is also much better because the keys are larger. Also, we're not surprised to find the display to our liking. The viewing angles are amazing, movies and videos look gorgeous on such a large, high-def display, and the reading experience sits among the best we've reviewed. One of the most flattering parts of the screen, however, is how easy it is to see it when we're outdoors. If you're not a fan of the phone's size, we're guessing it's only a matter of time before we see smaller phones with a screen like this. We've used the Snapdragon 800 in Android devices, and there's a noticeable improvement over old phones. But that difference isn't quite the same on a Windows phone. Microsoft has always insisted that its OS doesn't need all the extra power to run efficiently. And after using the 1520, we understand why. Sure, there's an improvement on the real intensive tasks like games, but loading programs, transitions, animations, and other activities are only slightly faster on the 1520 than the 1020, which uses a much older processor. As you might expect, the camera is not up to par with the 41 megapixel version on the Lumia 1020, but come on, unless you're the biggest photography enthusiast in the world, we doubt you're really going to take much issue with this. You still get a great imaging experience, and since it's balanced with the latest and greatest hardware, and it's available for $200 on AT&T just like the Lumia 1020, it's a compromise worth looking into, as long as you like AT&T. Finally, battery life is pretty good, although given Windows Phone's history of making its devices more power efficient, we would have expected a 3400 mAh battery to go a much longer way. Through a full day of hectic reviewing, which included taking quite a few pictures, downloading apps, the usual email and social media and other activities similar to this, we made it about 12 hours before the phone was ready for another charge. Now, this is just our initial test, so we're going to continue updating our full in-depth review at Engadget.com as more results come in. In conclusion, the Lumia 1520 is the best Windows Phone we've ever reviewed because it combines the best hardware on the market with a solid imaging experience not unlike what you'd get on the Lumia 1020. Larger smartphones are all the rage these days, so we understand why Nokia decided to go with a 6-inch flagship that has all the trimmings. Still, we won't be surprised if smaller devices with 1080p displays follow shortly after this. Lastly, Windows Phone's ecosystem is continuing to grow by leaps and bounds, and it's becoming a much more reasonable platform to use, especially given the increasing number of high-quality apps and games that are coming onto the platform. Head to our review at Engadget.com to get more details.